Hey everybody, sorry. I think Tiago was having mic problems, so I think he was about to do the intro. But we'll get started here in a minute. Okay, well, I think Tiago's mic is not working, so we can get started. Um, so, uh, um, yeah, so I guess we can start if there's any announcements from the evolution community. Okay, I don't think so. All right, so we'll pass it on to Maud. We're very excited to have Maud present today. She's a postdoc in the Pool Lab, and she'll be talking about sea bass today. All right, thank you, Maud.
Hi, thank you. So my name is Maud Duranton, and as you can probably guess from my name and my accent, I'm French. And I'm currently working in John Paul's lab on the relationship between integration and recombination in Drosophila melanogaster. But today I'm going to talk about what I did during my PhD that I did in France at the University of Montpellier. So to understand what mechanisms are at the origin of the great diversity of living organisms that surround us, we have tried to classify and group these organisms into different categories according to their similarities. This led to the concept of species that is often defined as the largest group of organisms in which any two individuals of the appropriate types can produce fertile offsprings and are reproductively isolated from other groups. The idea of reproductive isolation is therefore a key parameter to understand how species evolve. There are several reproductive isolation mechanisms that are generally classified into four categories. Prezygotic mechanisms that occur before embryo formation and prevent fertilization, and postzygotic mechanisms that occur after fertilization and generally reduce the fitness of hybrid and migrants. They can further be divided into two categories according to their degree of dependence on the environment. The endogenous mechanisms that do not depend on the environment and the exogenous one that depends on it. An example of prezygotic mechanism that does not depend on the environment is gametic isolation. For fertilization to take place, the membrane proteins of the sperm and the eggs must be compatible. This may not be the case in different species. For example, the blue sperm that does not belong to the same species as the yellow egg cannot fertilize it. An example of postzygotic endogenous mechanisms are Bateson-Dobzhansky-Müller incompatibilities. There are interactions between genes, and some versions of the genes work better together than others. For example, if an ancestral population with two interacting loci, big A and big B, splits into two populations, and one population fixes the new mutation little a, and the other fixes the new allele little b. The combination of little a and little b was never tested by selection and can be deleterious. Therefore, first and second hybrid generation, in which this combination may occur, we have a lower fitness than the parental population. A simple mechanism of exogenous prezygotic isolation is temporal isolation. A plant species flowering in June cannot be crossed with a species flowering in August. Finally, maladaptation can be taken as an example of exogenous postzygotic mechanisms. If we imagine two species of fish, one adapted to hot temperature and the other to cold temperature, migrating individual will have on average a lower fitness in the new environment. Moreover, if these two species can cross, hybrid individual with an intermediate phenotype will not be able to survive in either warm or cold temperature, therefore preventing genetic exchanges. Speciation is therefore the evolutionary process allowing differentiation to gradually accumulate between diverging populations and to reproductive barriers to evolve until populations are completely isolated and form two distinct species. From a genetic point of view, speciation is the accumulation along the genome of loci of reproductive isolation represented here by blue stars that allow genetic differentiation to accumulate along the genome that is classically measured using FST, and to reproductive isolation to emerge. Therefore, to identify the mechanisms and the evolutionary forces involved in speciation, it is necessary to be able to detect in the genome loci involved in reproductive isolation. Since those loci are expected to be associated with higher level of genetic differentiation, many speciation genomic studies have focused on species with heterogeneous genomic landscape of differentiation, presenting what we call genomic island of differentiation. But these patterns are not easily interpreted, as they only give a static picture of the speciation process that is dynamic, and not all islands are necessarily associated with reproductive isolation. Indeed, genomic island of differentiation can be generated by different mechanisms. The first one is linked to reproductive isolation and involves gene flow. When two populations diverge in allopatry, meaning without exchanging genes, differentiation accumulates along the genome under the action of genetic drift and natural selection, and population may fix allele involved in local adaptation or in genetic incompatibilities. Later, if genetic exchanges resume, this loci will act as barrier to gene flow, creating a heterogeneous landscape of differentiation. Islands tend to form in low recombining regions because reproductive isolation loci can more easily resist gene flow by combining their effects. The second mechanisms occur in the absence of gene flow and is not linked to reproductive isolation, but created by linked selection, that is, selection acting on neutral variants that are physically linked to loci under positive or negative selection. Linked selection will accelerate the sorting of ancestral polymorphism and therefore increase differentiation. Over time, Iceland may therefore appear in regions where linked selection is the strongest, meaning where recombination is low. However, these islands are not associated with reproductive isolation loci. Therefore, to study reproductive isolation, it is necessary to distinguish these two types of islands, which is not possible only looking at patterns of differentiation. However, in the presence of gene flow, the first type of island can resist gene flow and are therefore associated with a reduction in gene flow. But the second type of island that cannot resist gene flow will eventually disappear. It is therefore useful to study hybridizing lineages. During my PhD, I therefore studied a species presenting all the necessary characteristics to distinguish between these different types of genomic island of differentiation, the European sea bass. This species is divided into two evolutionary lineages, one living in the Atlantic and the other in the Mediterranean Sea, which are morphologically similar, but genetically differentiated, as we can see on this PCA. So here, each point represents an individual, and the distance between them, the genetic distance between the individual. And we can see that two groups are clearly present, the Atlantic in red and the Mediterranean ones in yellow. Furthermore, the landscape of differentiation between these two lineages is very heterogeneous, with globally low value of differentiation and genomic island of differentiation. The two populations continue to exchange genes by hybridization at their contact zone in the Alboran Sea, and therefore hybrids that are genetically intermediate between the two groups are also observed. A previous study showed that these two subspecies result from the separation of an ancestral population into two populations that diverged into different glacial refuges and came back into contact at the end of the last glacial period. This contact allowed genetic exchanges, but in a very asymmetrical way, mainly from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean population. Therefore, genetic fragments of Atlantic DNA enter the Mediterranean genetic background and are progressively shortened over generation by recombination. My first objective was therefore to identify genomic regions involved in reproductive isolation between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population using genomic pattern of differentiation. I only focused on finding regions involved in the reduction of gene flow, and I was not trying to understand if it was due to local adaptation or genetic incompatibilities. So to identify genomic island of differentiation involved in reproductive isolation, we needed a measurement of gene flow. This is why we were looking for introgress fragment, meaning DNA fragment originating from the Atlantic but present in the Mediterranean background. However, with classical sequencing methods, the information of genetic linkage is lost, and we cannot know how the different variants are associated along the genome, which makes the identification of introgress fragments difficult. Therefore, we sequenced genome of Atlantic and Mediterranean individuals involved in crossing in order to use a trio phasing approach to reconstruct the variant association along the chromosome of the paternal and the maternal genome. And then using a local ancestry inference, we can identify the introgress fragments. So we could identify Atlantic introgress fragments present in Mediterranean genome that are represented here in red, and the Mediterranean ones present in Atlantic genomes here in yellow. And we can see that in the Atlantic, there are few Mediterranean fragments and they are short, whereas in Mediterranean genomes, Atlantic fragments are long and more numerous, which confirms that gene flow is asymmetrical. We can also look at the length distribution of these fragments. So in yellow, it's the length distribution of Atlantic fragments present in Mediterranean genome, and in red, the distribution of Mediterranean fragments present in Atlantic genome. For each length range, the Atlantic fragments are more numerous than the Mediterranean one, which once again confirms that gene flow is asymmetrical. This distribution are also informative of the history of genetic exchanges between the two lineages. This is why we used them to test the explanatory power of the secondary contact model identified by a previous study. To do so, we simulated these two distributions under this model. And as we can see, the simulated distribution present in gray overlay on the observed distribution, which confirms that there is a post-glacial secondary contact between the two seabass lineages. Finally, we used the identification of introgressed fragments to have a measurement of gene flow, which I call the fraction of introgression, to compare it to the genetic differentiation that we measured using the FST. If we take the example of chromosome 7, we can see that there are two islands of differentiation along this chromosome, potentially due to the presence of reproductive isolation. To determine if this is the case, we look at the frequency of introgression, and we can see that the first island is associated to a low frequency of introgression, but not the second one. And moreover, if we look at the introgressed fragment, we can see that outside the island, we find migrants in both genetic backgrounds. In the second island, the patterns are similar, indicating that there are probably no reproductive isolation. But in the first island, there are almost no introgressed fragments, which seems to indicate that this island can resist gene flow and therefore is involved in reproductive isolation. To more precisely delineate regions involved in reproductive isolation, we used a new statistic, the ratio between differentiation and the fraction of integration. Regions involved in reproductive isolation have high value of differentiation and low value of the fraction of integration. Therefore, they are characterized by peaks within the new statistics. And using a hidden Markov chain, we can precisely delineate the islands involved in reproductive isolation. So to see if islands are indeed eroded due to gene flow, and to distinguish those that resist gene flow from the other, we have reconstructed the landscape of differentiation before the secondary contact. And to do so, we first identified Atlantic fragments present in Mediterranean genomes, and we removed them and replaced them by the most frequent Mediterranean allele. Therefore, we obtained a purely Mediterranean population, which is similar to the Mediterranean population before the secondary contact. And measuring differentiation between this reconstructed population and the Atlantic population, we can estimate the level of differentiation that was present before the secondary contact, which is represented here in purple. So by comparing the past and present differentiation, we can see that almost all over the chromosome, there is a gap between the two differentiation measures, except within the first island. Therefore, it seems that the first island is resistant to gene flow, and therefore that it is involved in reproductive isolation. Moreover, if we look at the recombination pattern along this chromosome, we can see that both islands are located in low recombining regions. This confirms that two different mechanisms acted to form the genomic island of differentiation, erosion by gene flow and ligand selection. So it seems that during glacial period, genetic differentiation increased more rapidly in regions of low recombination due to link selection that accelerates the sorting of ancestral polymorphisms. Population may also fix allele involved in local adaptation or in genetic incompatibilities that will more easily combine their effects and resist gene flow in low recombining regions. Then, during contact, gene flow erodes differentiation around reproductive isolation loci, remolding genomic island of differentiation. Therefore, reproductive isolation loci are mainly located in low recombining regions. So now that we know where are the reproductive isolation loci, we need to understand how they evolved. And first, we observed that regions involved in reproductive isolation that are here, meaning that they have high value of differentiation and low value of integration, presented higher level of divergence. And we can estimate the expected average neutral divergence between the two CBAS lineages by knowing their divergence time t, the mutation rate mu, and the genetic diversity of the ancestral population theta. So here we expect on average a divergence around 0.002. However, in regions involved in reproductive isolation, divergence is higher. And there are two hypotheses to explain this high value of divergence. They can indicate, so this high value of divergence indicates that the alleles present in these regions are older than the genomic average. And two hypotheses that can explain that is that maybe there are ancient polymorphisms maintained by balanced selection, or they may have introgressed from a third lineage only in one of the two subspecies. So we know that the European CBAS lives in partial sympatry with another closely related species, the spotted CBAS. So we looked for traces of ancient genetic exchanges between these species and both the Atlantic and the Mediterranean lineages of European sea bass. And to do so, we use two different tests. The first one, called ABBA-BABA test, looks along the genome at the form of a genealogy made between the Mediterranean and Atlantic lineage of the European sea bass, the spotted sea bass, and the striped sea bass that we use here as an outgroup. So in this model, A represents the ancestral allele and B the derived allele. And we are only looking at genealogies where the spotted sea bass has the derived allele and that it is not fixed within the European sea bass. So we obtain an ABBA genealogy when the derived allele is shared between the spotted sea bass and the Atlantic lineages. And we obtained a BABA genealogy when the derived allele is shared between the spotted sea bass and the Mediterranean lineages. As the process that sorts ancestral polymorphisms between diverging lineages is random, we expect the same number of ABBA and BABA genealogies. An excess of ABBA genealogy then revealed that there was genetic exchanges between the spotted sea bass and the Atlantic, and an excess of BABA genealogies that the genetic exchanges were between the spotted sea bass and the Mediterranean population. The second test that we used allows to identify ancient introgress fragments without knowing who the donor population is. It assumes that only one of the two studied populations has received introgressed allele, and this population will therefore show an excess of polymorphism compared to the population that did not receive gene flow. The method therefore seeks to identify along the genome regions that present an excess of private alleles that are assumed to be coming from a third lineages. So first, we can identify variants involved in reproductive isolation using the Markov model that I previously presented, for example, here along the chromosome 20. We can see that there is an excess of ABBA genealogy in regions that are involved in reproductive isolation. Therefore, it seems that the presence of spotted sea bass allele there seems that there are spotted sea bass allele in Atlantic genomes. Moreover, the results of the second test also indicate that there is an excess of private polymorphism in Atlantic genome and in the same region that the ABBA test was different. So this result seems to indicate that there has been genetic exchanges between the Atlantic population and the spotted sea bass, and that these exchanges might be involved in the establishment of reproductive isolation, as they are mainly present in regions involved in reproductive isolation. So then we wanted to estimate the time at which genetic exchanges took place. To do so, we can use the length distribution of introgress tracts. If we look at the length distribution of Atlantic tracts present in Mediterranean genome in red, and add the distribution of spotted sea bass tracts present in Atlantic genome in blue, we see that they are much rarer and shorter. And we know that the length of the fragments is indicative of their migration date. The shorter they are, the older they are. And there is a formula that allows to estimate the date of introgression based on the length of the fragment, the recombination rate, and the migration rate. So we compare the results of this formula used on Atlantic tracts present in Mediterranean genome and on spotted sea bass tracts present in Atlantic genome. And knowing that the genetic exchanges between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population took place approximately 11,500 years ago, we can estimate that the genetic exchanges between the Atlantic population and the spotted sea bass took place approximately 80,000 years ago, meaning that the genetic exchanges took place while the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population were isolated in 2 different glacial refuges. To better understand the history of spotted sea bass allele within European sea bass genome, we look at their frequencies. So first, in region not involved in reproductive isolation, here we have the site frequency spectrum of spotted sea bass derived allele within the Mediterranean genome, and here's the frequency of this allele within Atlantic genome. And here, each square represents a class of frequency, and the color, the number of alleles that fall within this category. So here we can see that most of the spotted sea bass alleles are either at low frequency in both populations or at high frequency in both populations. But there are no major differences between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population. However, when we looked at regions involved in reproductive isolation, we can see that most spotted sea bass alleles are at high frequency within the Atlantic and absent of Mediterranean genome. And there is a big difference between the 2 populations, as there are almost no alleles present along the diagonal. This indicates that spotted sea bass alleles are fixed in regions involved in reproductive isolation within Atlantic genome, but absent of Mediterranean genome. So now we can say that after the separation of the Atlantic and the Mediterranean lineages approximately 300,000 years ago, there were genetic exchanges between the Atlantic lineage and the spotted sea bass, and that some alleles went to fixation, favoring the establishment of reproductive isolation between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population. So we need to explain why the spotted sea bass allele have fixed within Atlantic genome but could not introgress Mediterranean genome. And one hypothesis to do so is the transfer of genetic incompatibilities. So we can imagine that at the time of contact between the spotted sea bass and the Atlantic lineages, there were genetic incompatibilities between their genome. And the only way to resolve these incompatibilities is to eliminate the polymorphism by fixing either the Atlantic or the spotted sea bass allele. And in theory, if the admixture proportion are equivalent, there is a 50% chance of fixing either the Atlantic or the spotted sea bass allele. So we can imagine that in some cases, the resolution of genomic incompatibilities were resolved by fixing the spotted sea bass allele. And therefore, at the time of contact between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population, in addition to the incompatibilities that may have established between the 2 populations during divergence, the incompatibilities generated by the allele originating from the spotted sea bass were revealed again. Therefore, ancient hybridization has favored the establishment of reproductive isolation between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean lineages of European sea bass. So now we know that reproductive alleles came from a 3rd lineages, and now we need to understand under which evolutionary forces they evolved. So when we compare the sequence of individuals from the same species, the differences we observed constitute what we call the nucleotide diversity. That is to say, the genetic differences that exist within the species that we note pi. In coding sequences, this mutation can be of 2 types: synonymous, meaning that they have no effect on the protein sequence and are considered neutral, they have no effect on the fitness, selection don't act on them, or non-synonymous, meaning that they change the protein sequence and can be of 3 different types. They can improve the protein function and are therefore advantageous and are positively selected. They can deteriorate the protein function and they are deleterious and will be eliminated by selection, or not influence the function of the protein and are therefore neutral, and selection will not act on them. So the amount of synonymous polymorphism is referred to as pi-s, and the amount of non-synonymous polymorphism, pi-n. And since advantageous mutation tends to quickly fix within the population, they are almost not present in the polymorphisms. All individuals of the same species quickly share the advantageous mutation. Weakly deleterious mutation, on the other hand, remain in the polymorphism for a long time, since it takes time for selection to eliminate them. And they therefore constitute, together with neutral mutation, the majority of pi-n. Therefore, when we compare pi-s and pi-n, we have an indication of the strength of the parifying selection, meaning the level at which deleterious mutation can accumulate. The level of recombination also influences the accumulation of weakly deleterious mutation. Only in presence of neutral mutation, the same level of genetic diversity is expected in a region of high recombination and low recombination, but with a greater haplotypic diversity in regions of high recombination. However, when a deleterious mutation occurs, genetic linkage being stronger in regions of low recombination, the haplotypes that are going to be removed are longer, bringing with them, on average, more neutral variants. Over many generations, genetic diversity will decrease in this region, reducing the effective population size. And since selection depends on the product between the selection coefficient S and the effective population size, some mutation with the same selection coefficient can be detected by selection in highly recombining regions, but not in low recombining regions. Therefore, weakly deleterious mutation tend to accumulate in low recombining regions. Therefore, pi-n pi-s ratio are expected to be different between low and highly recombining regions. Overall, more polymorphism is expected in a region with high recombination, but since purifying selection is more efficient, purifying selection is more efficient in highly recombining regions, we expect a lower pi-n pi-s ratio compared to regions with low recombination, where weakly deleterious mutation can accumulate within pi-n. This is why we observed a negative relationship between the pi-n pi-s ratio and the recombination level for both the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population. But here, my goal is to compare these patterns between genes involved in reproductive isolation and the rest of the genome. And we know that genes involved in reproductive isolation are mainly present in low recombining regions. Therefore, we could not know if differences in pi-n pi-s ratio are due to differences in recombination rate or to differences in selective pressures. So as I said, the distribution of recombination rate is quite different for genes involved here in blue and genes not involved in red in reproductive isolation. Therefore, I wanted to create a group of control genes, meaning not involved in reproductive isolation, but with a distribution of recombination rates similar to those that are involved in reproductive isolation, to be able to compare the molecular evolution patterns. So to do so, I subsample the group of genes not involved in reproductive isolation so that they have a distribution of recombination rates similar to that of the genes involved in reproductive isolation. And if I compare the pi-n pi-s ratio between genes involved in reproductive isolation and the control gene, I see that there are no significant differences for both populations. The only difference that I can see is between the control gene of the Mediterranean and the Atlantic population. That is mainly the reflection of the differences in effective population size between the two lineages. In fact, the Mediterranean population is smaller than the Atlantic, which explains why it accumulates more weakly deleterious mutation and has a higher pi-n over pi-s ratio. So in the same way, we can count the number of synonymous and non-synonymous mutation in the polymorphism by comparing sequences of individuals from the same species. We can do the same by comparing sequences from individuals from two different species. In this case, we are counting for synonymous and non-synonymous mutation that are fixed in the divergence that we call dn and ds. Since we expect mutation to create as many synonymous and non-synonymous mutation, we can compare the ratio of dn and ds to determine if selection is acting. So in theory, if we have more synonymous than non-synonymous mutation, and then the dn over ds ratio is less than 1, it means that non-synonymous mutation have been removed by purifying selection. A ratio of 1 indicates that selection did not act, and a ratio greater than 1 that selections tend to promote non-synonymous mutation, and therefore that there is positive selection. And if we compare the dn-ds ratio of genes involved in reproductive isolation and the control group, we observe different patterns between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population. In the Atlantic population, the ratio is higher for genes involved in reproductive isolation, which seems to indicate that there is less purifying selection, and thus that the genes are under less constraint. Whereas in the Mediterranean population, we observe the opposite. However, in synonymous mutation that composed dn, there are both advantageous and deleterious mutation, as weakly deleterious mutation can fixed in the divergence due to genetic drift. Therefore, the interpretation of dn is complicated since it is impossible to know which proportion is made of advantageous and deleterious mutation. Which is why we decomposed dn using a statistical method into adaptive substitution rate that is omega A and non-adaptative substitution rate that is omega Na. And once again, we observed different patterns between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population. In Atlantic, genes involved in reproductive isolation have fewer adaptive and more non-adaptive substitution than the control gene, whereas in the Mediterranean population, we have the opposite. So the differences that we observed between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population are necessarily due to the events that happened after their divergence. So maybe these different patterns can be linked to the genetic exchanges that happen between the Atlantic and the spotted sea bass. Therefore, if we only base our interpretation on Mediterranean patterns, we can say that genes involved in reproductive isolation are more constrained and have accumulated, on average, more adaptive mutation. So finally, we try to see if genes involved in reproductive isolation are involved in particular function. However, the sea bass genome is not well annotated, so we used the annotation of the stickleback genomes. So here are the function of the gene overrepresented in region involved in reproductive isolation. On the left, at the level of biological processes, and on the right, the molecular function. The color represents the p-value of the enrichment test, meaning that blue points are the most different between genes involved and not involved in reproductive isolation. And we can see that genes involved in reproductive isolation are involved in ion transmembranate transport. And since there is a difference of salinity between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population, this might indicate that local adaptation is involved. So finally, my last objective was to compare the effect of selection over the short and long term. However, to do so, I would be needed to study hybrid individual, first generation hybrid, that are almost impossible to see in nature. This is why I made experimental crosses. So previously, we saw that Atlantic alleles are eliminated from Mediterranean genome in the long term due to the presence of reproductive isolation loci, partly inherited from the spotted sea bass. However, a previous study also showed that first-generation hybrids have a better fitness in terms of survival than both Atlantic and Mediterranean individuals. One mechanism that may explain this hybrid vigor is heterosis. In heterozygous hybrid genome, recessive weakly deleterious mutations that are present in both parental populations are masked, which increase the fitness of hybrids compared to their parents. Introgressed haplotypes can thus be favored in the short term, as they can generate heterosis. This is why we have studied Mediterranean backcrossed individual to mimic the main direction of gene flow and try to link the effect of selection of on introgressed alleles in the short and long terms. So we made two types of crosses. Mediterranean females were either crossed with Mediterranean males to produce Mediterranean individuals that are represented in yellow. And the same females were also crossed with hybrids to produce backcrossed that are represented in orange. Each female was crossed with several males of each origin to control for parental effects, and all the offsprings were bred together in the same environment to compare their fitness. So here the first graph represents the fertilization rate of each female. In yellow when she's crossed with Mediterranean males, and in orange with hybrids. And a statistic model has allowed us to show that there is no significant differences in the fertilization rate according to the origin of the male. Similarly, we see here the pre-hatching mortality of each female's offspring. So Mediterranean offsprings in yellow and backcrossed offsprings in orange. And in the same way, there is no significant differences in pre-hatching survival between the two groups. After about 1 year of breeding, 995 offsprings were genotyped on 48 markers just to identify their parents and estimate the number of Mediterranean and backcrossed individuals. And using a statistical model that takes into account family effect, which show that there is no significant differences between the number of backcross and Mediterranean individual. There is therefore no differences in survival between the two groups. Therefore, it seems that Mediterranean and backcross individuals have the same fitness and that there is no hybrid depression in the first generation of backcrosses. However, we have not been able to access the fertility of backcross, so differences could be revealed later at the time of reproduction. We then genotyped 380 backcrossed individuals using a DNA chip with 50,000 markers. And we wanted to know if there is a link between the genotype and the phenotype of these individuals. So we measured for each individual his heterozygosity and his hybrid index. So if we look at this triangle that is combined of both the hybrid index and the heterozygosity, Atlantic individuals have a hybrid index of 0 and are completely homozygous. Mediterranean individuals have a hybrid index of 1 and are completely homozygous. And first generation hybrids are completely heterozygous with a hybrid index of 0.5. And if we place in this triangle the backcrossed individual with their condition represented in color, the one with the best condition in purple and the one with the worst condition in yellow, we can see that there is no link between genotype and condition. The most heterozygous individual don't have a worse or a better condition than the other one. Similarly for their growth, represented here on a gradient from yellow to orange, there is no link between the hybrid index or the heterozygosity and the growth. Therefore, it seems that combination of Atlantic and Mediterranean alleles do not influence either the growth or the condition of the individuals. So finally, we looked for allele frequency deviation, meaning allele with a frequency that is not expected, knowing the frequency at which it is present in the parents. So here on this plot, you have on the y-axis the frequency of the Mediterranean allele in the offsprings, and on the x-axis the frequency of the Mediterranean allele in the parents. And we can see that globally there is a good correlation between these two frequencies with the model of the residual of the model distribution centered around 0. However, if we only looked at loci that are involved in reproductive isolation and are differentially fixed between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean population, we can see that they are mostly below the diagonal with a negative model distribution, which indicates that Atlantic alleles are favored in backcross individual in the same region where they are eliminated from the Mediterranean genome in the long term, as in the offsprings, alleles tend to be less Mediterranean, meaning more Atlantic. So our results indicate that selection on the Atlantic variant is different in the long and short term. In the long term, Atlantic alleles are removed from Mediterranean genetic background, while in the short term, they are favored in Mediterranean backcrosses. And this happens in the same genomic regions. So one hypothesis to explain why the selection changes over time is the effect of heterosis. So we can expect that within Mediterranean genomes, weakly deleterious recessive mutations are mainly present in regions of low recombination that are resistant to gene flow and therefore might be linked to variants involved in reproductive isolation. So in first generation, introgress fragments are long and they therefore cover a large number of weakly deleterious recessive mutations, generating a strong heterosis effect, which could mask their deleterious effect and favor the introgression of Atlantic fragments. Over time, introgress fragments are shortened by recombination, reducing their masking effect until the positive effect becomes less important than the negative one. And since we saw that backcrossed individuals have the same fitness than Mediterranean ones, it seems then that the dynamic of selection on introgressed Atlantic alleles in the Mediterranean genomic background is more complicated than what we thought, and that therefore there is a direct link between selection that acts on Atlantic fragments and their length, and therefore a link with recombination. So to conclude, at the beginning of our study, we focused on the study of the Atlantic and Mediterranean lineages of the European sea bass, which allowed us to determine that the recombination landscape played an important role in the establishment of reproductive isolation. To understand the origin of the alleles involved in reproductive isolation, we went back a little further in time and show that ancient exchanges between the Atlantic lineages and the spotted sea bass favored the establishment of reproductive isolation, showing that hybridization can help divergence and therefore speciation. To understand what selection pressures these genes under which selective pressures these genes evolved, we looked further back in the divergence using a more divergent outgroup, the strapped CBAS, and showed that genes involved in reproductive isolation evolved under strong selective pressures and are involved in important physiological function. And finally, we wanted to compare patterns observed in the long term to those in the short term by studying hybrid individuals from experimental crosses. And we saw that selection was in fact different, Atlantic alleles being favored in backcross genome, where they are eliminated from Mediterranean genome in the long term. This indicates that there is a complex introgression dynamic, probably linked to the effect of recombination. So now that we have a broad view of the history of divergence between the Atlantic and European CBAS lineages, we can say that the speciation process is actually more complicated than just two populations diverging without exchanging genes for a long period. Genetic exchanges with the third lineages and the recombination landscape both played an important role in the establishment of reproductive isolation, which is not usually expected. So finally, I would like to thank my former supervisor, Pierre-Alexandre Gagnard and François Bonhomme, for their advice, all the members of my old lab in Montpellier, the ISEM, and people from IFREMER, without whom I couldn't have done the experimental crosses. And thank all of you for your attention.
Thanks, Maud. That was a great question. Oh, great.
Thanks.
And we do have time for questions.
Hey, Maud, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Which is, do you think some of the introgressed regions that might be providing, that might have introgressed due to a heterosis benefit are being maintained in the population now as polymorphisms due to a continuance of that benefit? Like you might expect that they have less, they're much more broken up, but do you think that there is a maintenance of polymorphism in the Mediterranean population that's due to this heterosis benefit, or has it been like weeded out since migration more?
Actually, I think it depends on which region of the Mediterranean population you're looking at, because since introgression is like, there is this hybrid zone near the Alboran Sea where they are probably first hybrid generation. And then if you are looking at the West Mediterranean population, I think that you can find like long introgress tracts and that maybe there is some polymorphism. But if you are looking at the Eastern Mediterranean population where tracts are very short, I think that probably most of them would have been removed. Maybe it's a complex relationship, because what I actually think is that heterosis only works in regions where there are weakly deleterious mutation, which are probably low recombining regions, because there are regions where they are most likely to accumulate. And I think that it's also in this region that there is the reproductive isolation and therefore the incompatibilities. So maybe polymorphism can be maintained if the introgress tracts can be separated from the incompatible alleles.
Thanks. I think there's a question in the chat from David Baum. I could read it, or if you want to read it.
I can read it if you like. Do you want me to?
Yeah, thank you. I can.
Okay, so I could have just spoken. Okay. Yeah, so my intuition would be that a region that would introgress easily from striped bass into the Atlantic population would be more easier to then introgress into the Mediterranean, because we know that there's no barrier. But you found the opposite. It seems that you found that regions that introgressed into the Atlantic population were less likely to then introgress into the Mediterranean population. Is that correct?
So yeah, in fact, there was like introgression from the spotted sea bass to the Atlantic lineages, and all along the genome, in most regions, this introgression is at very low frequency. But in some regions, those alleles went to fixation. And when they went to fixation in the Atlantic genome, they could not pass to the Mediterranean genome. But on the rest of the genome, introgression went from the spotted sea bass to the Atlantic population and then to the Mediterranean genome. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so specifically with regions that went to fixation or close to fixation in the Atlantic population were the ones that were not able to then introgress into the Mediterranean population.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not sure I quite understand the explanation then, that because wouldn't they have been less likely to go to fixation if it had to be an incompatibility resolved?
So the idea is, so we actually don't know why that happened. We have several hypotheses. So one hypothesis could be that maybe they went to fixation because they were adaptative. So maybe this is due to local adaptation, due to the fact that both species live in the Atlantic environment. So maybe there is something specific to adaptation to the Atlantic. So that's one hypothesis. But the hypothesis with the resolution of genetic incompatibilities is that if a mixture proportion were at 50-50 at the time, when you have to resolve the incompatibilities, the probability of fixing either the spotted sea bass allele or the Atlantic allele is also 50-50. So you can expect that just by resolving genetic incompatibilities, some spotted sea bass allele went to fixation within Atlantic genome.
Okay, thank you.
I have one last question here from Nicole. She's asking, do you think ancient hybridization is an important contributor to speciation in many or most organisms?
I don't know, but I think that it's something that is overlooked. Like most of the time when people are studying speciation, they are focusing on two populations. And I think that most of the time they are not looking for other species. And I don't know if it's a major contributor to speciation, but I think that at least it's something that can contribute. And especially since we know that ancient hybridization is also involved in local adaptation, like in the human genome, for example, there was integration between humans and Denisovan that was involved in adaptation to high altitude. So I think that it's possible, at least. I'm not sure how much it contributes, but I think anyway, it's overlooked.
Great, thank you again. You're switching here to the class. Thank you very much.
Bye.